What is going on in the world of innovation, entrepreneurship, and investment in week number 5 and 6 of 2022, January 25, 2022. One big event happened. That was Cathie Wood's Ark Investment Team presented the Big Ideas Report 2022. And two topics in it tackled the life science industry. On one hand, it's multi-omics, and secondly, it's gene editing. The Ark Invest team believes that these areas have a potential to grow to 3.6 trillion in market capitalization by 2030 potential. Check out this report. You will find the link in the description below. Of course, multi-omics and gene editing are two huge areas with huge potential, but there is another area, and I missed it in this report. I really missed it because it was those technological area that hits the news the most from 2020 onwards. During the pandemic, I think you all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the potential of mRNA vaccines. So I did a little research with Google on the internet to find out whether there is a little bit more potential in mRNA than just the SARS-CoV-2 vaccine, because when we face it, one day this pandemic will be over and the problems with SARS-CoV-2 will be solved, either one way or the other. And just one use case doesn't really justify market capitalizations beyond 1 billion euro for a company. So the question as an investor that I asked myself was, is there more to it than just one quick fix for one problem that is temporary? And interestingly, the answer is absolutely yes. mRNA has, in my opinion, huge potential. And when we look at the articles, so originally mRNA was not really invented against SARS-CoV-2. It has a longer history. And the basic idea was that the body can be vaccinated to fight against cancer. And when we look at the pipelines of these companies, when we look on the website of BioNTech, we see a huge pipeline of drugs that are actually currently in development against cancer in oncology. And looking at infectious diseases, also here, BioNTech has more ideas than just having a vaccine against SARS-CoV-2 to fight COVID-19. One program, the second one, I find particularly interesting. It's influenza, which is also still a huge burden for the human race. And they have more in preclinical development. And BioNTech researches shingles, malaria, tuberculosis, HSV2, HIV, and additional mRNA vaccine programs that are yet, believe, undisclosed. If you want to know what mRNA is all about, I have put a link in the notes to the article. This is called "Is mRNA the Future of Drug Development?" There you'll find more information and more detail about the technology. Looking at Moderna, for example, has a HIV vaccine in development, experimental state, that uses their technology. And they announced last week that the first participant have been vaccinated in a phase 1 clinical trial of an experimental HIV vaccine that utilizes Moderna's mRNA technology. I hope that works. It would be great to have something against HIV. The big part in the Big Ideas report, although, was gene editing. And besides the therapeutic possibilities, I also asked myself, are there other use cases, or is it just rare disease therapies? And Ark focused in their presentation exclusively on therapeutic approaches for curing diseases. The article highlights the possibilities in agriculture, which I find particularly interesting. This article states that we need another green revolution, and many experts believe new gene editing technology is one of the key tools that will help deliver that goal. Gene editing allows breeders to dramatically speed up the breeding of new seed varieties that can fight off pests, insects, and disease, and reduce farmers' reliance on pesticides. The technology opens the possibility of breeding plants that are resistant to drought, need less fertilizer, and provide higher yields. In the livestock sector, the technology has the potential to swiftly develop new vaccines and new treatments for animal diseases. The ability of this technology to transform lives can be in no doubt as the miracle of COVID vaccine, which we are all plunging into our arms, has shown. The COVID vaccines took only 12 months to develop, and gene editing made that incredibly feat possible. And for those who have a preference toward more scientific articles, I recommend the one in the show notes, Global Development of Genome Editing in Agriculture, published on PubMed already in August 2019. And this article, for example, states genome editing in crops could significantly speed up the progress of breeding programs. It could drive the development of traits in new crops and allow improvements in yield and pest resistance, adaptation to climate change, and industrial and pharmaceutical applications. The last part of this video deals with one of my favorite topics, venture capital. New book was issued called The Power Law, and in the book, Europe didn't find even a mention it. Sebastian Malaby's new book is something that I, and hence you all, have been waiting for. It is the book about venture capital that desperately needed to exist. The first in-depth account about the industry not written by a venture capitalist or an economist. Based on more than 300 interviews with a set of big-name insiders, it's the latest attempt to explain the importance of VC in creating our digital economy, and not only digital, but also in the life science industry. And the only caveat in this article, there is no mention whatsoever of Europe. Whether the author intended to express with that move the lack of venture capital in Europe, or it happened accidentally, is unknown at the time of writing the article in the show notes or here also in the video. This was it for that week, and have a great week, and tune in soon. Have a great day.